In 2014, Russian troops amassed at the Ukrainian border. What followed was a Soviet-style land grab. The Crimean Peninsula was annexed by the Russian Federation. Moscow was expelled from the G8. 7 years later, is there a repeat on the cards? Let's first give you a backgrounder. Eastern Ukraine is a hotbed of rebellion. These rebels have political and military support from Moscow. Since 2014, 13,000 people have been killed in the conflict. Last year, there were signs of a thaw. A ceasefire was signed. But in the last 3 months, attacks have picked up again. Russia and Ukraine are pointing fingers at each other. The current situation is quite precarious. This is what the border looks like. Dozens of tanks and missile launchers. Ukraine says thousands of Russian soldiers have been brought to the border. It is a scary sight. A defense analyst recently said this could trigger World War III. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a conflict with multiple stakeholders. On Thursday, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the region. He was dressed in military fatigue, a helmet, bulletproof vest. He walked through the trenches, shaking hands with the servicemen. The president was trying to keep the morale high. But he cannot fend off a Russian assault himself. He needs allies. Zelensky wants NATO to admit Ukraine as a member. Rule number 1 of NATO is collective deterrence. An attack on one member is an attack on all. But NATO wants more security and military reforms from Ukraine, so don't expect anything quick on that front. Zelensky's best bet, then, is the United States. Joe Biden promised his unwavering support to Ukraine in his phone call with Zelensky. The question is, will he come good on that promise?
The President spoke with President Zelensky, as you know, last week. In addition to reassurances to Ukrainian officials, the United States, we are also discussing our concerns about the increase in tensions in ceasefire violations and regional tensions with NATO allies. So that's another part of the conversations that is ongoing. But I don't have any engagements with the Russians to read out.
Washington is planning to deploy 2 warships to the Black Sea. They will sail through the Bosphorus on the 14th of April and stay there until the 5th of May. Maritime laws say foreign warships can sail in the Black Sea for 21 days, that too after giving Turkey a 15-day notice. Now, Turkey is a NATO member, but President Erdogan shares a close relationship with Vladimir Putin. Zelensky will be flying down to Istanbul this weekend to meet Erdogan. Turkey's support from the south will be crucial in this standoff. What about Europe? Strategically, Europe has a lot of clout in this region. Most European states have backed Ukraine, but Russia has largely ignored their concerns. German Chancellor Angela Merkel spoke to President Putin recently. She urged Moscow to withdraw its troops. The Russian retort was stinging. A Kremlin spokesman said Russia was free to move its troops anywhere in the country. A clear no on pulling back. So what is the end game here? A full-blown war is highly unlikely. For starters, parading tanks and missiles is not a popular war strategy. If Moscow was indeed preparing for battle, these deployments would have been done in stealth, not in broad daylight, with cameras on the ground. Plus, Ukraine has ruled out a military operation against the rebels. Zelensky does not want war. But this is a stern test from the Russian president. He wants to get the measure of Zelensky. The Ukrainian leader is new to politics. Putin wants to see how he responds to this crisis. It is also a test for US President Joe Biden. Does he mean it when he promised unwavering support? To what extent will America go to defend Ukraine? The doomsday predictions are far-fetched, but this is a serious geopolitical crisis. It pitches the Western alliance against Russia. An intricate battle of deterrence is playing out in eastern Ukraine. Putin faces sanctions if he invades. The West faces humiliation if it stands by and watches.